Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for the Self-Made as a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we're talking with successful business owners to hear their stories of the journey to building their business. And because we know that achieving success in business is not something that we can do on our own, we recognize the folks that helped us excel. I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest has a double major in agriculture and business and lives on a small farm. He enjoys all forms of racing and also working on the farm as his way to decompress. And he's most proud of an internal journey that him and his wife are going on to better understand himself and be a better version of himself. It is my pleasure to welcome, welcome Will to the show today. Hello, Will.
Hey, how are you, Tim?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for asking. So, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your personal story, where you were born, where you live now, about your family and your hobbies.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so born in Anderson, Indiana. So currently live in Noblesville, so I didn't journey too far from home outside of school. But yeah, so from there, grew up in Anderson. Went to St. Mary's in grade school, and then we kind of had this funny thing where we had an Anderson address with LaPel School District. Then went to high school in LaPel, and then went off to college in Ohio, where, like you mentioned, I got a double major, one in agriculture business, and I currently live in Noblesville. Currently, so married, got a wife, and 4 kids. So 2 boys, 2 girls. That keep us that keep us really busy. They range from the oldest being 13 and the youngest being 6. So they're all pretty active now, in different hobbies and sports and stuff. So kind of like you mentioned earlier, hobbies for us is we live on a farm, a small little hobby farm, where we raise show cattle, and our kids show cattle and livestock. Actually starting to do some goats now too, so we do a little bit of that. And then we're big race fans. Always been huge fan in racing, and we love all types of racing. Our kids used to race quarter midgets, race cars. We're into dirt bikes now, so they dirt bike. Do a lot of dirt biking. My daughter's got a 4-wheeler. She loves riding that, and so we go different trails and places to ride those. But sprint cars, big time on sprint cars. We're in Indianapolis, of course, and we're talking on the month of May, the week before or the week of the race. So love IndyCar racing as well. So so that's kind of us in a nutshell, I guess. Of kind of our family and kind of where we're from.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, Will, is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share with us?
I think the biggest laughing point is apparently I can't say the word cereal, so I say it's cereal. I say it wrong, and every time I'm like, "Let's go, hurry up, eat your cereal, let's go." Everybody just starts laughing and chuckling or something like that. So I guess I don't have the best grammar, but yeah, that the word cereal, for whatever reason, I can't seem to say right or say funny, and it doesn't get old around our house. So yeah, they laugh. The kids just crack up every single time, and obviously make fun of me for it. So, but I'm getting to that. The kids are getting to that age where some of the kids still think dad's cool, and the other ones kind of still think it's
right?
fun to make fun of them. So.
I love it. So, Will, tell us about how the business came about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Yeah, so the business kind of came about. We're in real estate investing, and I had a full-time job in medical device sales, and wanted to get in real estate. Honestly, more possibly to buy some rentals and just to kind of buy some rentals as some passive income, and for, years down the road for retirement to kind of live off of. So the whole theory behind the whole thing was, hey, I'd buy a house or two and rehab them, take whatever money I made on that rehab, and then, buy rentals with it and have passive income. And so we kind of started doing that. And At the time, I really, really enjoyed my company that I worked for. Still good friends with the owner today. It was a small medical distributorship, 15 people in the company. And, but the industry was changing. This was, you know, um, back in probably, I would say, it started happening maybe in 2011, 12, 13, era. The industry was changing, healthcare was changing, in a big way. And so I didn't necessarily love the job anymore. I was kind of doing it for the money. I love the company, but the actual job itself. And so as that was kind of happening more and more, the real estate thing was starting to build and build, and I was starting to do more deals, and I was just doing them on the evenings and weekends. And I wasn't working on my own houses by any means. We had contractors doing all that. And I just kind of caught the entrepreneur bug and thought, man, I think I can make a run at this, and so I kind of built it up to a certain point where I felt like it was absorbing most of my time.
Mm-hmm.
And, I called the owner of our company and just said, hey, I'm doing this real estate thing on the side. I'm really, I think I'm going to try to make a run at it. I love our company. But I also said like, hey, obviously I was prepared for that moment to be done in 2 weeks that day. Right.
Right.
But I also told him like, hey, if you want me going tomorrow, great, no problem. I understand. But I'm also we were a small company. I covered Indiana, Kentucky, and I knew that me leaving was going to really put him in a bind. And I just chose to say, hey, like, I'm here. I'll help you hire the next guy, train the next guy. If it takes 6 months, 8 months, it doesn't matter. I'm not in a hurry to make this big change.
Right.
But I just want to be upfront and honest with you that it's getting busier, and I'm starting to see, and this is what I want to do. And I think he was obviously, as anybody, when you lose somebody good or that, it's kind of like, but he was very grateful that we were able to do that. And so I hired the next candidate. I interviewed the next candidate. I hired him. I trained him. I onboarded him. And I actually, in some way, shape, or form, I kind of slowly weaned off of that medical device job as I ramped up this other guy and stayed on payroll for a good year and a half, for 2 years. And that really, looking back, was probably saving grace, because I was able to ramp one business up and still have, my wife was working full time. She was in the pharmaceutical. She had a great job, good benefits. And so it worked out great for my boss in his company. And it worked out great for me that we were able to do this transition very smoothly. And so that's how it all started. And then I was doing everything, right? Like, my wife was doing actually a lot behind the scenes in the book work, but I was going out and I was meeting with sellers, and I was looking at houses, and I was doing the rehabs, was doing all of that.
Yeah.
And then I just, when I got to one capacity, I hired somebody, to fill that role, to help me out. Just, internally, I had someone help me out with the administrative stuff. And then I just built a team organically, one person at a time, as I needed that help. And today we got about 8 to 10 team members. We just hired a COO. I say we've been in business for 8 years. I really do mean it when I say, like, I think we're just getting started. Like, the groundwork is laid. We have a solid foundation.
That's awesome.
And now we've hired a COO to really, I feel like we can put the foot on the gas now, and the wheels won't fall off. And I see a lot of business owners that, that they put the foot on the gas, but they don't have the infrastructure and the processing systems to withstand the gas. So that's where we're at now. And then, so it's not been a slow journey, but a very steady journey that we've been on. And, I'm excited to see where we go from here.
So, well, tell us a little bit more about the company. More specifically, what do you guys do? How do you help folks? And if people are interested in learning more, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So, basically we run a real estate investment company where we wholesale, rehab, and do rental houses. So we wholesale houses. So we go out and we spend all this money in marketing, and we get the phones to ring into us. We go out and we meet with homeowners, right? These are people that maybe have inherited a house. There's 4 or 5 siblings. One's in California, New York, Indiana. Mom, and dad passed away. They'd have this house now. So we deal with inherited houses. We deal with landlords, guys that have owned these rental houses for 20 and 30 years. And a lot of these guys are selling now because the market's so hot. So we have a lot of those that they're just looking to get out and retire. We deal with people that, have equity in their house, but their house needs $35,000-$40,000 worth of work in order to put it on onto the market. And they just don't have the capital to do that or the means to do that. So I always go in and say is that 95% of people that sell their house will do it the traditional way through a real estate agent, fix it up, go through a real estate agent. We help the 5%. And so we have a very niche market. And so we go out, and I would say we don't buy houses, we buy problems, right? If you don't have a problem, we're probably not a good solution. But if you do, we can be a great solution. So we go out, we do that. And then we have real estate investors all across the country that look to us as their means of buying real estate investment properties. So we do all the heavy lifting, and we wholesale it, and then we sell it to our investors. So that's a part of our business. And then we also, obviously, we rehab. We buy houses, we rehab them, we sell them to homeowners like you or I. And then the third part, which is why we got into this business, is we have about 100 homes, rental homes right now. And the goal is to continue to build and expand upon it. So that's what we're doing. My business model hasn't changed from when I started. It's take all the active income and invest in passive income. And so that's what we continue to do as a company and as an organization today. So Nuparadox is our company. And you can go to Nuparadox.com. That's Nuparadox.com. And you can get our information there and contact us. But yeah, we're very passionate about what we do. So we love to help investors get into this. Our motto is invest right, live free. Is New Paradox came from, we're changing the new paradox, right? The paradox in traditional investing is you work for a company for 30 years and then you invest in either in that company or in the stock market or mutual fund or whatever it is, 401ks. And we're passionate about real estate. We think you're seeing the market right now as we're speaking. It's very vulnerable, the market. And we believe in real estate, and it's the new way of investing, and it's a great place to park money. And real estate is pretty consistent. Even when the market goes down, your house values, your rent still comes in every month and your rent value stays the same. And the thing about the stock market over the long run, it usually tends to be okay and pretty good, but timing's a big thing. And when you're the people that are 65 and 70 right now, it's hard to recover from that. Now, when you're 35, 40, you can ride the ups and downs.
Right,
and
yeah.
stuff. So we just chose real estate. We're passionate about it. We're passionate about other people at least looking at it to diversify into their portfolio of investing, in their retirement.
Fantastic. So Will, share a story where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, even maybe when you thought you couldn't, and the impact that person had on you.
Yeah, there's tons of people in different stages of my in different stages of my career. I would say one that sticks out that I still talk about today is another local real estate investor, actually, that's a competitor in many ways. We don't look at each other like that. But he took time. I was a one-man band at the time. I think I maybe had one or two people. No, I didn't. Yeah, I had one part-time person working with me, and I needed to grow, and I was tired. And and he whiteboarded out. Steve Richards, and he's a good friend of mine to this day. And he whiteboarded out. We spent 3 or 4 hours, and I said, I don't know if I can afford another person, and I'm doing all this. And okay, what did your day look like? So he maps out, my whole day, and like, how much time are you spending in this? How much time are you spending in that? And how much money are you making here? And how much could you do if you had another person? What would the revenue? Like, he just whiteboard, like, he goes, you need to hire an acquisitions person. Like, this is where you need to grow. So it's kind of like, I knew I needed to hire somebody.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know in what capacity, in what way. And he helped really walk that out. And I did. I went out and I hired somebody, I think, in about 45 days later. And then once you get through that first new hire and you're like, oh, it's a big investment. I'm giving up profits. I'm not keeping all the money anymore. But you start to see the leverage that provides and the scalability that starts to provide. Then you're like, oh, okay. Then the second gets, and then third, then it just gets easier.
Yes.
And easier. And each time I'm giving up, when you're doing this all by yourself, you're keeping 100% of the pie, and you're giving a little piece of that up every single time. But now it's like, of course, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
10% of a big number is better than 100% of a small number, right? So
Fair.
he it was huge. It was eye opening, and in the fact that a competitor would sit there and a guy that's in the same space as I would sit there and spend time with. It just shows you, the abundance mentality that this guy has, obviously.
I love it. So, Will, what's your biggest learning over the years as an owner?
There's a lot. I mean, I could dive in, if we could break this down to subjects and really do it. I think the thing I've learned the most is about people. I mean, I'm now in the people business, I'm not in the housing business. As you're building teams and you're running a company, you become to learn about people. I probably, the biggest thing I've, learned was like, looking at all these behavioral assessments and what people really thrive in what position and what role in the company. And it's hard to figure out sometimes, and especially when you're small, you don't have a lot of data to choose from. So I think that's been the biggest learning is about people, how everyone's different. You got to treat them different. You got to manage them different. You got to lead them different. But I've also seen when we hire the right person off of core values from a culture standpoint, and then also on a behavioral assessment standpoint, and then we do cognitive scores too. So it's how quick can somebody learn, because we're not a huge company and we got to have people that can learn quickly. And that's not an intelligence level, just how quickly can they learn. When we can get those things right and we implement, those people are so much more successful straight out the gate. And they're happier straight out the gate. We're happier straight out the gate. And so I've learned that, okay, I've learned what these profiles look like and understanding them and really knowing the way people are, the way that people tick. And so that's been the biggest challenge. That's been the biggest learning I've had to do. And, and it makes so much more sense as we've done this over the years. And sometimes in the past, I would try to deviate from it and, and make an exception or justify something. And every time, I said, well, and that is bad for me, but it's also bad for them. You're
right. Yes.
I'm looking out for them, just as much as I'm looking out for myself.
Yeah. I've hear a number of stories from business owners who did skip steps or didn't follow the process and then significantly regretted it after the fact. So, the phrase of hire slow and fire fast is very true, right? Good wisdom to follow. And, make sure you do all your homework up front and that it's going to be a good cultural fit, because, we can teach skills, but we can't teach cultural fit. And we all have experiences where we've brought the wrong person onto the bus, right?
That's right. And that's part of it. And, our motto last year and really has carried on to this year and just in life is choose your heart. Like, I've always said, it's hard to be in great shape and it's hard to be obese. It's hard to be married and it's hard to be divorced. You got to choose your heart. And I think sometimes it's hard to find the right person in your small company, to find the right person with the right behavioral stuff, especially in this day and age with this work environment. I mean,
right.
The talent pool is slim. And so it's hard and you got to be patient, but it's also hard to hire the wrong person.
Yes.
So choose your heart.
Yes. I love that. Choose your heart.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Will, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. So tell us about one of your biggest challenges during the years and a fellow business owner who came alongside you to help you get through it.
Yeah. I mean, there again, there's multiple people and in different parts, I think, I think the biggest challenge I probably really had was, we came out, I had I had a partnership with another gentleman, in the market. It was really kind of a big JV and it was good. I mean, the business itself was successful. We did really well. Great guy, still good friends with him to this day. But his, visions changed, and his vision of where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do was looking different for me and for mine. And the reality was, I was probably holding him back. He was this, wants to do these really extremely big things, and in a big way. His risk, his tolerance for risk is a lot higher than, more, higher than mine. And so we decided, hey, it makes sense. Let's, kind of go a different direction, and you go follow that, and let's help each other get there too. And I think any partnership you divide up is tough to do it, but we, relatively speaking, on great terms. We did it easily and dissolved it with the way it was set up. But I think the biggest challenge for me after that point was, man, that sense of having a partner is just such a great feeling, because you got somebody when times were good to celebrate with. And when times were tough, you got someone to lean on, and you feel like you're going through this journey together. And so the wins weren't as good. You didn't have that. So, and I really struggled with that more so than I probably anticipated. And even though looking back, and it was obviously the right direction, I see where he's at now. He's extremely successful doing what he's doing, and we're obviously extremely successful doing what we're doing. And who helped me through that, was really my wife. She's also involved in her business, and so I would say her. And then we had another person that I kind of hired as a consultant that came on for a little bit, Amanda. And she also did some sales coaching with our team. And that also gave me this sense of like having someone else that was there to help support us. And so that was probably the biggest challenge, and the two people that really helped, get me through that, so yeah, that was the biggest transition.
And Will, what's your wife's name?
Mandy.
Mandy. All right. Fantastic.
Yep. Yeah.
So, Phil, if I asked you to pick 3 people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there as part of your business's growth, who are those 3 people, and how'd they help you?
Yeah. So, Amanda, who I just spoke about, who's our sales trainer, also did some business consulting with us. I would definitely say, because she was with me through different aspects of our business and the journey and the ups and the downs. And she was a great sounding board. So no doubt her. Once again, it's my wife. I mean, she is, my partner, my business partner. She's been involved in this business since day one. And she left, I didn't tell her story, but she left corporate America, as well. Right. So 4 kids, and we're both in the business full time. I just couldn't do it without her. It's like I don't know how to explain it. There's so many challenges and difficulties that come with having your wife in your business. But there's a lot of comfort knowing that the person that you can trust the most is right there next to you. And so her for sure. And then really not a person, but, I talk about our team has been through a lot. And I think our team has helped us through the journey. We've been in business for 8 years. I've got people who've been with us for 7.5 years, 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. It really comes down to our team, our core team. Even when I brought on a certain amount of team members onto the partnership, and then and then they came with me when we left and split the partnership, and they really wrote out some times too, and stuck with it, positive. So, I mean, every single one of them individually has really helped us through our journey, and we owe it's all. Culture eats, systems, for lunch, in my opinion. And the culture you have in your business, you can have the best systems, but the culture is really where it's at. And they kept that culture right where it needed, even through our journey.
That's awesome. So as you think about the next 3 to 5 years, well, what are the biggest challenges you think you're going to face in achieving your goals, and who are the types of people you're going to need to overcome those challenges?
Yeah. So, hopefully we just hired one, which was our COO, right? A long-term for our next 3 to 5 years. We do know there's a lot of challenges that comes with growth and going there. And he was a big, there comes a point in time when you as a leader realize I've taken it as far as I can go as in this role position. Now I can take the company a lot farther. It's not as far as I can far it, but in the way it's currently structured in my role. And I think that's what we realized is we needed that next level. So the COO is a big part of that, our future growth as part of, so but yeah, the biggest challenge is next, um, we're going to be starting, we've got our real estate company obviously kind of rolling and as challenging as anything is just, we're talking about like finding people, like trying to find good investment properties right now is tough. The market is really, really tight. And that's a challenge for us because we got into this for passive income. And so you're trying to get creative. Interest rates are going up. The home prices are still going up. So, real estate's a great market, whether the market's up or down. And so the biggest challenge for us right now is how do we keep building that portfolio in a market that is hot as it is, and trying to ride this inflation, and what does that look like? And, we've been doing this for 8 years and we're stable and we're ready for it, but there's going to be some sort of correction or cooling off, or what does that look like? We've never been through that market, and we've never been through a downturn, and so, my thing is always, a very wise man told me, that in this type of market, as hot as we're in, you want to be able to pivot quickly. And so we're making our company in the next 3 to 5 years. And right now it's, hey, how do we pivot? When the market changes, we need to be able to pivot quickly. We're not in big projects and stuff. So, so I think that's going to be a challenge, is knowing where to pivot and how to pivot, and where do you can't continue to find these deals. And do we need to look at different aspects of real estate as far as land goes, or different sectors of real estate besides single family? We're primarily single family. And we're going to be starting different divisions. We're starting a capital business, a commercial brokering business where we're brokering capital. And that's really goes into kind of what we do now is we have access to a lot of different lenders that lend money for small SBA, real estate, equipment, leasing. And so we have all of these different lenders that we've partnered with. And then we're going to go out and find obviously people that need capital, and I think as banks start to tighten up in this market, money's been everywhere. You're going to need more of these different types of lending partners. And so kind of like houses and wholesaling, we find a house and then we find an investor looking for an investment property. We put those two together. That's the same thing we're going to do with capital. We got the lenders. We're looking for people, small business owners, big projects, $200 million projects, development projects, bridge lending. We're finding those people and we're putting those two people together. And so that's really where I feel like our next growth is going to come, is in the brokering side of the business. I've got a big passion for that, and I really want to, be that. And it diversifies us a little bit, and it hedges that we can, with real estate, I don't really worry about the top or the bottom of the market. It's the way down. Or the down is what you got to ride out. Once you get to bottom, you're fine. Right. Because then, you're good. It's that ride down. And so being diversified, being able to pivot, all those things, I think is what's really going to help us get there. And what helps us, is we've got a business coach as well. And is those coaches, man, those business coaches really help us to make sure they see things from a different perspective than what we do. Our business coach once said that it's a lot easier to read the label on the outside than the inside. We're all the time as business owners, we are reading it from the inside. Yeah. And can't quite see it like the guy on the outside. So, so that's, so strategic partners like that, I think are going to help us get to that next level.
Awesome. Jim Rohn's one of my favorite authors. He says that we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So as you think about that quote, is that something that you find inspiring? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I told you I'm on this internal journey of me, as a person, and it's crazy. I couldn't believe that anymore. Actually, when I first started this business, I told my parents what I was doing, and of course, we're built at this time. This is 2014. We were literally building a brand new home, out in the country. A lot of things. It's not like building a home in a neighborhood. There's a lot of different factors, right? You got wells and septics, and there's just it's a lot harder to build. We were building it on our own. We were literally GCing it on our own, and we had just had our 3rd kid was a year old. And here I am telling my dad I must start my own business and I've got this good corporate job. It's like, no, I just be careful with that, and he was looking out for me. And what I started going to was these different SIREAs and INREAs, these different real estate investment meetings. And I started getting around like-minded people. And there is a group of us to this day, a core of some of the biggest guys that probably do business in Indianapolis, that we all started within the same year of each other. And we've all grown to, be the same size, and some bigger than us and maybe some a little bit smaller. But once I started realizing, like, we were on this journey together, and we're all competing against each other, essentially, but we didn't care because we were collaborative, and this is what's working for me. I got around people who believed in real estate, and I started watching them grow, and it was like, I could do it. And then we got into a mastermind. That's when my business went to a whole different level. As I joined my first mastermind, it's a lot of money to join those things. I wrote a check. I'm like, this is what I need. And I got around, at the time, maybe the first mastermind might have been 75 people in this mastermind that were doing things that were above me, doing things that I hadn't done yet, but had been where I'd been, and realizing, like, they just started opening my eyes to, like, oh my gosh, you can do that, and you can do this, and you hired that person. You don't do, I remember one guy was like, you don't go see any of your rehabs, like, none. And he's like, no, I got a project manager for that and this. And you started realizing, and it was all about scalability. It was all in this mastermind. They were teaching how to processes and systems and hiring, and really scaling this thing. And so you surround yourself with people like that. And even today, I look around like, man, you always want to be, you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room, they say, and it is. And that's whether you're, I'm talking about business, obviously, but if you're on a spiritual journey, who are you hanging around, that's helping you with that spiritual journey? And right now I'm on that journey, a little bit of that. And it's been awesome. It's like, and now I just find that I'm starting to, I'm talking to these people that are on the same journey as I am. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't think anybody else was doing that. And so, because what I realized is in business is, we talk about taking a business to a certain level, like I gotta be better internally for my business to grow. And that's where the self-discovery came, I told, one of my, mindset, because I think our business has just hit a ceiling, like I feel like it's hit a ceiling, of where we can blah blah blah. And he's like, wow, that's really interesting, and one of those where coaches are looking at you, you're like, okay, here it comes, but he goes, and there is no ceiling, right? That's your subconscious playing this message in your head, like this. And I think what happened is I had gotten our business to as high as I ever imagined it would be. And I never imagined it to be any bigger. So I kind of got it there, and I'm just kind of stuck until I open up and realize, it can be so much bigger. But why? I got to make sure that why it's not just to be bigger, right? There has to be that internal piece and that internal joy that you get from growing your business, because at some point you make enough money, you got enough things, you've grown your business, and then you got to say, okay, what is this all for? Why am I really doing this? And that's the journey that I'm on right now. And it's a different podcast, but it affects my business and it affects the people in my business. And so me working on me is really me working on my business.
That's awesome. I love it. A couple things you said that ring true for me is that idea of, if we don't have the next step planned out, or the next goal, or the next vision, right, of where we're going to take the business, it is very easy to plateau, right? Because if we achieved beyond what we thought was possible, then we've already arrived.
That's right.
So I love that you're working through that to figure out, okay, well, what's the next version, and the next version, and the next version, right? And then another quote from Jim Rohn says that, we should always be working on ourselves more than we do on our business. So I love that you're taking the time to dig in and recreate yourself, and change your identity and who you believe that you can be, and what you believe that the business is capable of. Because the only thing stopping us from, continuing to expand and grow is our self-limiting beliefs.
That's it.
So outstanding work. I appreciate you sharing that. And for those listening to inspire other people to go on a similar journey. I've been in a mindset coaching program for the last 18 months, and it's a lot of what you were just sharing. And right, it's critical. We got to get out of our own way, right, in order to take our business to the next level.
Yeah, you got to. I'm learning a lot about detaching. Right, you attach everything to okay, once we hit, our goal is to do $3 million a year, right? Whatever it is. I'm just making up numbers here, but if your goal is that, and you're attached to that, and you hit it, and it doesn't bring you that joy or happiness,
right?
Then that's where you lose the motivation. Then it's like, well, why shoot for 5? 3 didn't make me happy.
Right?
So or you start, or you got to 3, and you're like, I'm still not satisfied. I'm going to go for 5. And you're never going to be satisfied. You're never ever going to be satisfied, and so you got to step back. And I think but you're right. Your subconscious is telling you how successful you can or can't be. And that would be my one thing, is business, because this, being a business owner is stressful, and it can ruin your marriage. It can ruin your relationship with your kids. It can do as much damage, right? And it can good, and so got to make sure that you're doing the right thing. And I think a lot of business owners get in that point where it's all about the business, and then they realize that did not work. And I don't want to say it didn't work.
Well, it's like what you said earlier is what's the why, right?
What's the why?
Why does the business need more money, right? It's got to be for some other reason, right? Some bigger purpose. Otherwise, right, to your point, if it's just about making more money, then there's never enough money and you're never satisfied. But if there's some other bigger joy or bigger thing that the money is being used to make a difference, right, then all of a sudden you get that satisfaction of, oh, well, so for us, ours is to help 10,000 underserved people over the next 10 years. So the more money we have, right, the faster we can do that. It's like, oh, well, we were able to feed one more homeless person, or right, shelter one more homeless, right? It's like now there's a thing, right, that you can get excited about, and it's tangible, versus, oh, there's just more money in the bank account.
And your team wants that, and it takes time as a business owner. You got to, at first you just need to get money in the bank for ready to establish, you're not, so yeah, there's different levels of that. And your team will get behind you. I do believe that people stay. I mean, people want a good culture, and people will sacrifice. It's a different world now than what it was. And you got to cater to those people, because the good ones, and they want a little bit more flexibility, and they want to work, from, if the job permits, where they want to work from home a day or 2 a week, or you just got to be like, okay, what's most important, and culture, like we talked about, culture's big on that, and people seeing you gets behind that. That's what's creating culture. It's not about, nobody cares how, buying you a bigger house or a nicer car. The team is not going to get behind making you.
Yeah, rich. Right. Yeah, exactly. So, well, sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have helped you on your journey. If they were all on the show here today, what would you want to say to them?
Man, thank you. I think I really do look back, as I look back on my journey, and I can, all the way back from when I was in high school, God has always put me around good men, as far as being a husband, being a father, being a hard worker. I grew up working on farms. I mentioned that, and they were all Christian-based farmers. And at the time I didn't, I wasn't like on I just a job, right? Just word of God. But the lessons they were teaching me weren't about farming or hard work or it was about life. And, and they knew that, I think, and they were, I can just remember, doing a job well done, and making sure, when no one's around, what kind of job are you doing, and there's a lot of things you can get away with that nobody will ever know, and so just like these different life lessons. And then I look at the business owner that I worked for 13 years in the medical device, I was learning from him how to, like, my company is very much ran like his. And I do think God put me there because he knew, like, I just believed that I was there to help him, to help his business, to do all those things for him. But I was also learning from him and not even realizing yet that I was going to own my own business. I was watching the way he was doing things. And I remember now, I always go back to, like, what did I like when I was an employee, and I try to incorporate that into our business now. And then, and then obviously, all the group of guys that, I look up to the most are the guys that run simple businesses and profitable businesses. There's a lot of guys that run big things. So I was like, so thank you. There's a lot of people that I probably don't even know. I watched them and learned a lot from them, and they probably didn't even realize it. I hope I'm having that effect on other people, and not even knowing it. So very grateful, that to be in this opportunity to be able to do this. Want to make sure I pass that along.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Tim. Been great.
Awesome. To everyone who tuned in, thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help us spread this movement by liking this show and posting about it on social media. And to join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and we'll see you all next time. Take care.